And with that, guys, we have another solid, good episode of Dragon Ball Super. How's it going, guys? I hope you guys are having or have had a great day so far. This is going to be my episode review of episode 11 of Dragon Ball Super, and this continues with the Goku versus Beerus fight that we actually started with in the last episode, and this builds upon it within this episode. We do have Vegeta and all of our other Z Warriors pop up within this episode, but they have very small roles. Vegeta is just on the cruise ship, basically staring off into the distance, watching the fight, and then on Bulma's ship, we have her basically yelling at everyone, especially with Goten and Gohan, but then we also have Piccolo talking within his head, kind of giving us the exposition and play-by-play of how he's observing the whole situation with Goku versus Beerus. But like I said, this is a heavy Goku versus Beerus fight, and I really enjoyed the moments that we actually got within this episode, and I actually saw, at least from my perspective, a few callbacks to old Dragon Ball Z style stuff, and I'll talk with those as I go through the motions of this fight, but I really enjoyed this section of the fight, and it was kind of confirmed too within this part, especially with the Supreme Kai talking to Kibito Kai, basically saying that Beerus is kind of training Goku to harness and control his Super Saiyan God form. You kind of got that feeling in the last episode, but it seems to be mostly confirmed because Beerus is just on such a high level that he's just looking for someone that could be his rival, and he even says that within his episode. So he is training Goku to learn and control this power, so that way he has someone that's at least formidable enough to actually allow Beerus to actually go all out and use 100% of his power, and he still, within this episode, has not been doing it thus far. But Goku's Super Saiyan God power is growing and growing as this fight goes on, and even by the end of this episode, it is still growing. Like, it hasn't reached its max power yet, so this seems to be a type of a power-up that just grows as time goes on until it reaches its maximum power. So it's going to be very interesting to see, once Goku reaches that max power, how much like devastation and destruction and how on par he's going to be with Beerus is going to be. But what's cool about this episode is he actually does get a few hits in on Beerus, but Beerus was just allowing these hits to happen because, you know, he's just kind of bored with, you know, having to fight Goku, so he's allowing him to hit him. But Goku does get a few hits in there, but the part that, there's a few parts I loved about this episode, but the first part where I was just like, whoa, we haven't seen this, I think, in all of Dragon Ball, is Goku taking that ki blast from Beerus and actually compressing it down until it was kind of like just like dissolved into nothing. I really like that part, and I don't remember ever seeing anything like that within Dragon Ball. I mean, I haven't seen Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z in a good while, but I do remember points about them here and there. But to my knowledge right now, I don't remember ever seeing that. So if I am wrong about that, point it out to me, guys. Leave that in the comments and let me know if anyone has ever compressed a ki blast like Goku did within this episode. But besides that, I also really liked the callback to Goku biting Beerus's tail while they're going back and forth. There was a few silly shots within their fight, you know, with Goku yelling at Beerus, but the one I like the most is Goku biting Beerus's tail, because there seems to be like a thing with Goku and biting the main villains in Dragon Ball arcs. Like, the only ones I can remember right off the top of my head was when he bit Frieza's tail all the way back in the Namek saga, and then when he bit Boo's antenna back during the final Boo arcs of Dragon Ball Z. And I don't remember if he ever bit Cell in any way, but those are the two main villains I remember him actually doing that to, and it's just kind of a nice callback in a way that Goku tends to bite some of the villains within the series, and I just liked that moment overall, and I just got a good laugh out of it. And the second coolest part and attack that Beerus did within this episode was that kind of like ki blast attack where he had to touch Goku and kind of like body slam him into the ground. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Frieza's pinball attack back when Goku and Frieza fought during the Namek saga, and there's a lot of callbacks, at least for me, that I remember for Frieza. I'm not sure if they were actually planning for this, but it kind of reminds me of when Frieza trapped Goku in that like energy ball and was just kind of knocking him back and forth. I kind of got that vibe when Beerus was doing this, but it was also very intimidating too when he did this, and it just like had his hand pushing Goku down from the stratosphere that they were like fighting at all the way down to this one landmass in the middle of the ocean, and Goku's like, fortunately enough, was able to actually move out of the way at the last minute and wasn't just completely destroyed by this attack. And I love this moment too, because he kind of just gets on top of Goku at this point, saying like, it's lucky you were able to dodge this, and he starts like screaming at him as he's like lying on top of Goku, punching at him, saying like, I am bored out of my mind right now. You promised me a good fight, and I am not getting that. I am half asleep with this fight. Give me a challenge. And he's just constantly punching him, And I kind of got a Naruto versus Sasuke fight like at the end of Naruto Shippuden, kind of like the same shot when Sasuke was on top of Naruto. So sorry for spoilers if you guys have not seen that yet, but I just got like vibes from that while I was watching. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But of course, Goku is able to knock Beerus off him, and then the fight continues there on, and eventually they actually go up into outer space eventually, because Beerus is at this point just knocking Goku back, and Goku isn't really putting much of a fight at this point. And while they're up in space, Beerus is kind of mocking him still, kind of saying like, where is this fight that you promised me of this Super Saiyan God? This is not the rival I was promised. And I love it how he just starts making all of these energy balls. He starts playing soccer with them as he's like kind of like jumping it on his head and his foot and his tail, and he's like, all right, Super Saiyan God, block this. And he throws it down, and Goku does a Kamehameha, or at least a Ki Blast to, knock that one out of the way. And Beerus is like, oh, that's pretty good. Let's see how you handle these. And you get like so many like start to pop up around him. There's at least like 100 small atom-like, molecule-like Ki blasts all formed around him. And this was an epic moment too, because we got another Kamehameha from Goku, and I just love hearing Goku shout with Sean Schimmel's voice the Kamehameha as it just goes Ka-me-ha-me, and then he just does the ha, and he obliterates all of the Ki blasts. I know that was a horrible impression of the Kamehameha, but I just love it whenever that shows up in a scene. It just makes me all giddy and happy, and just I love this series so much. And when they do that, it's just like, yeah, this is fucking awesome. I absolutely love this. So Goku is able to save the Earth from all of these Ki blasts, but then Beerus kind of just shows up out of nowhere and just stabs his hand right through Goku's stomach or chest, somewhere on his left side of his body, and basically says, "You're no rival of mine." And he just drops from the sky, and Goku at this point is like inner monologuing with his head as he slams into the ocean and is sinking down, kind of like saying it's like he never realized someone in the universe could be this strong. And this is the point where he kind of gets a raging boner at this point for Beerus, because he's like, I'm so excited right now. I really can't believe there's someone this tough for me to fight. And he's absolutely getting off on this, and he heals up the Super Saiyan God form, heals up the wound he had. He gets all fired up again, goes back up into the sky, and now we're about to have round 3 start of this fight, because Goku is just like gung-ho, and he's just like, I can't wait to fight you. Let's go, Lord Beerus. Give me your full power. And Beerus is like, all right, but you asked for it, so I really, really can't wait to see what else we're going to get out of this fight. And seeing that Goku is still like growing in strength and power level, it's just going to be really interesting to see how Goku matches up when he starts, getting to the level that Beerus is, or if he ever gets to that level. So that's really where this episode ends off. I really think that this was a good second part to the fight, and it continued off with what we got in the first episode, in episode 10, with the first part, and then this second part did, I think, really, really well. And there was just some epic moments and some good moments that I was like, oh, I am really enjoying the moments that they're actually putting within this Goku versus Beerus fight. But I want to hear from you guys. What did you guys think of this episode and the second part of the Goku versus Beerus fight? Did you like seeing Goku do that massive Kamehameha to block all of those Ki blasts coming in on Earth? And what did you think about the whole just Beerus kind of like training Goku and trying to make sure that he just harnesses and controls this power, so that way he kind of has a rival that is a match for him on the God level that Beerus is. So leave your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to my channel if you guys are fans of Dragon Ball and are watching the dub of Dragon Ball Super. So that way we can just get a conversation going down in the comments below. And I would just really like to hear your thoughts on how you think the English dub is handling Dragon Ball Super so far. So that's going to be it for this review, guys. Episode 12 will come out next week, and I'll have my review up next week for that. So definitely look forward to that. So until my episode 12 review for next week, I'll talk with you guys then. All right, guys. See you later.